Welcome to our first full week of Pivoting Online, which is a research and practice informed view of some of the dynamics that you may wish to be aware of as you start moving into this kind of an environment and this kind of a setting. I want to start by giving a quick shout out to a number of the institutions that are helping make this possible. So through University of Texas Arlington, we have a number of folks that are involved in doing a lot of the background work and also involved in teaching the course. University of South Australia and the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. So we have a good group of people who have extensive experience in online environments involved in this particular aspect of the course. Now, one of the things that we need to sort of get set early on, we have 5 weeks together, and what does this actually look like, and what do you do on a regular basis? And the week will look roughly like this. We'll start off with a number of readings and open education resources that you may want to use in your courses or just be aware of what's involved. We have a live session planned on Wednesday, which is all of the individuals teaching in this course. So you'll see myself, Megan, Justin and Tanya and Matt involved in that conversation. We also have a sense-making online podcast that I'll do together with Dave Cormier on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That'll be provided in the course outline in edX as well. We have this week at least 2 particular expert videos by Marty Cleveland Innes from Athabasca University and Justin Reich from MIT, talking about both the research and the experience that they've engaged in around the online environment. We also have an online template that will ask you to consider looking at and evaluating in terms of application to your own environment, because our goal here is to give you a bare minimum of what you need to know in order to teach online for a week. Now, from your end, what do you need to do? Well, I think first and foremost is go through the course content and resources and choose the pieces that are relevant to you. Not everything is going to be relevant to everyone because you have a different set of background and different set of dynamics. When you have a chance, and if you have questions, dive into the edX forums, ask your questions there, connect with other people. If you're more actively involved in social media or open online environments, use the Pivot Online hashtag to share resources. And as we talked last week, it's really helpful for you to focus on creating artifacts. When you create an artifact, you essentially teach others, because an artifact is a representation of what you understand and how you've come to understand something. When you create a tutorial or share an image or write a blog post, it's a way for you to serve as a teacher for others. And that's the 5th key point, which is the network is the knowledge here. Many of you, we've got hundreds, probably 1,000 students signed up for the course already. And as a result of that, each of you have a different lens and a different experience, and you can help others and teach others different parts of the course material. And even just share your own expertise in how to teach synchronously or asynchronously. Now, we've talked several times, we look at the community of inquiry sort of as our starting framework, and it has a number of elements at play. The key presences, if you will, are social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. Now, we want to emphasize each of those as you begin planning your material and moving your material online. It's a sort of guidance where you can hang off different decisions that relate to the cognitive aspect of the course, related to fostering and promoting some kind of interaction, and as well as your engagement with learners as well in online environment. As we mentioned last week, there's a number of approaches that you can take as teachers, doing simple things like promoting reflection in your students, emphasizing self-interrogation. Do they understand it? Do they need some help with it? Are there pieces they're not properly understanding? Focusing on personal goal setting, asking students to reflect on what they want to achieve, focusing on how you structure different periods of review so that there is a continual point of integrating course material, and encouraging students to focus on some of their metacognitive strategies and becoming aware of what works and what doesn't work for them. And then, of course, a critical focus is promoting connectivity between concepts so that students start to get this network knowledge view of your course material. It's a little bit different than what happens in a lecture format where you lecture at your students often. In this case, there is a little more disconnection that occurs in their learning. It's not as cohesive as a lecture might be, which means a little extra effort needs to be put into promoting that kind of connectivity. Number of tool sets that you can use. We address a few: discussion forums, reflective writing, visualization, but really anything that helps students create an artifact and helps them engage in some kind of group-based problem solving and engagement with others. Now, one of the reasons why this is such a critical element and why we promote that is we're facing 2 elements here. in moving online. And this is important for us to be aware of when we engage directly with students and when we start to do our own planning. So one way to look at it, and this is sort of what we're up against. So let's say we've got something that looks a little bit like this. In the bottom here, we basically have, for lack of a better word, the timeline. And on the top here, or on the y-axis, we have this general view of the technology that's going to be used throughout the course and just the moving online in general. And so right now we're sort of at this stage, and I'm going to say it's more like a camel effect here. So short term, let's say we're running, and this is coming up to September over here. Many of us are here at this point right now, and you're going to basically make this rapid, urgent move online with technology. And then we're going to have some time to reframe, regroup, get together, and then you're going to keep going online. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing this is, for lack of a better word, call this the crisis hump. This is where all of us are right now. We're trying to get our content and our material online as fast as we can, and we're trying to find the best way to do that. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy and chaotic. So you're going to use tools like Zoom. You're going to use discussion forums because you have to. You might be using things like Slack, or you might be using Microsoft Teams. All of these are tools that are just there to get you online as fast as you possibly can without a whole lot of regard and consideration for proper learning design and related aspects of being in this environment. Now, the second hump, we'll call this planned onlining. And this is ideally where we should be now, but clearly we're not. And we won't have time to get there. But after you're finished with this current semester, you'll have a period of several months to move forward in a more sustained way. With planned onlining, we're talking about things like proper attention to learning design, where your outcomes, there's some alignment, if you will, between your outcomes and your teaching and your assessment. You're going to be more focused on problem-based learning because that's what the online environment is uniquely good for. You're going to focus more so on building social networks, making greater use of OERs, and so on. So I just want to, for now, emphasize that while we are currently sitting at this space, we will, in a planned way, because this whole COVID thing isn't going away in the short term, we will be moving over time to this aspect of being more fully online in a more structured or type of a planned way. Now, the reason I'm briefly just sharing this is, as we're getting moving with this course, it's here to help you with really the first crisis stage. We do expect ongoing support as you begin more formal planning and assessment down the road. But for the time being, treat this course as a bit of a support base to help give you some ideas to get there as quickly as you can. And we'll pick up the conversation over time on how to better make that transition go fully online in a structured and planned way.